Welcome back to another episode of Kavanaugh's Corner. I want to say thank you for coming back to us here on the channel. It really means a lot to us that you're coming back and watching our videos here. Today I had to don the fancy clothes because I'm here to talk to you about a movie that really wowed me, and I'm still kind of taken aback by it, and that's the new film Sully, which stars Tom Hanks, Aaron Eckhart, and is directed by the absolutely unbelievable Clint Eastwood, the just incredible Clint Eastwood. Sully is a very subdued, yet a very emotional film. Sully to me is the kind of film that doesn't come around very often. It's masterful, but yet very quiet. It's precise, almost pinpoint precisely directed, but also kind of loose in terms of its storytelling. It's definitely trying to tell a very particular story, but it's also one that tries to get into the head of its character, its main character. In this time, in this film, it's Captain Sullenberger. But for the most part, it's a film that is undoubtedly just, I can't say how outstanding it is to have a film this fantastic come out at a time like this. It's a masterful film. It's definitely a film directed by a guy that's been doing this for 50 years now, maybe more. Mr. Eastwood has presented a film here that is not only a true story, but also it tells a story that I think Clint wanted to tell. I think it tells a story of a man that, because of his surroundings, is having a crisis of conscience. And in reality, it's all about trusting your gut, and if you know what you're doing, you know what you're doing, which I think is kind of an interesting story. For those of you that don't know, the film is almost entirely shot in IMAX, and I mean almost entirely by saying like 99.9% of the film is shot in IMAX. There's literally, I think, like 2-minute sequences near the end that take place in an environment where a IMAX camera just could not fit in, and I don't want to spoil that because it's something you should see. The entirety of the film is shot in IMAX, which is incredible. This is shot, and I think with a 6K, I think it's an Arriflex IMAX camera. I can't think of the exact name, but it's an Alexa Arriflex, I think is the actual name of the camera. But I have to give a lot of props to the cinematographer and to Clint Eastwood that this movie looks absolutely outstanding. It may be the best looking movie I've seen all year this year, maybe within the last year or two. It is just a mind-blowingly amazing looking film. Even the shots of Tom Hanks in New York City are they just jump out at you, and I cannot wait for this movie to come out on home video so I can see this thing in 4K, because it's just outstanding how amazing this movie looks. I think Tom Hanks gives a very emotional yet subdued performance. Like I said earlier in this video, the movie is a very subdued one. It's not a movie that is all action, spectacle. It's not that kind of movie. It's a very subdued movie. So you can't go into this thing looking for an action movie. It's a very, very, very subdued, serious film, but it does tell the story that it's there to tell. And Tom Hanks in this just melts into this role of Captain Sully Sullenberger. He becomes this character. You can see it in his eyes. You can see the experience that he has, just the politeness of this man. You really get the sense of character from Hanks in this, and he completely disappears into the role except for his language and the way he talks. That is basically every Tom Hanks movie. He is Captain Sullenberger in this movie, and he's very, 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 very touching in his performance. I felt for the man throughout the entirety of the film, and the times that he has his crisis of conscience is shown in a very creative way, and I don't want to spoil it here for you in the review, but when these things happen, it's actually kind of shocking. And it's shocking for all the right reasons. It's a very, very incredible performance from Hanks. And also, I got to give a big shout out to Aaron Eckhart, who kind of steals this movie a little bit. Aaron Eckhart is one of my favorite actors. I actually really liked him in The Dark Knight, and I really appreciate his performance in Thank You for Smoking, which is one of my favorite movies that came out during that time period. Also very good in Olympus Has Fallen. I have not seen London Has Fallen, but I've heard he gives a very good performance in that as well. I really like Aaron Eckhart. I think he's a very good actor, but in this movie, he is the comic relief, which is kind of funny. He plays Sullenberger's co-pilot in this. Again, an actual real-life person. And he is so funny. And I looked into it just literally less than an hour ago. And in real life, this guy is actually kind of funny. So it was cool that they got Aaron Eckhart in this to play this part, because I think he's very good at comedy, and it's not something he does very often. Aaron, if you're listening, do more comedy. I think you're awesome at it. You were great in this movie. Gives another very dynamic performance, but I really think he is... he's kind of the scene stealer in this, but he does a really good job. Also, as I said earlier, the direction by Clint Eastwood in this is smooth. It's so smooth, and I think Eastwood can start to pretty much direct these based on true life movies in his sleep. It's becoming kind of a bad habit with him now, with American Sniper and Changeling and Jersey Boys. These movies that he's done, J. Edgar's another one, Invictus. He's done a lot of movies that are based on true stories, but this one here is currently my favorite. I really enjoyed American Sniper. I thought American Sniper was a very well-made movie. It actually was a pretty good action movie for what it was. It was a very profound war film. This one here I found to be a little bit more touching. I found it to be a little more relatable. And also, something I have to talk about in this movie is that Eastwood did some of the music in this. And again, this just goes to show you how dynamic Clint Eastwood is. He is amazing. And also, hats off to him and the cinematographer of this film to have the bravery to shoot the whole damn thing in IMAX. I mean, that is something that I have to give a lot of props to him for, because they could have done it the easy way and just done it, half and half. But Eastwood went all the way with this, man. Shot the whole damn thing in IMAX, and it really provides a sense of, I want to say, it's immersion. You're there with everything, and everything is such sharp clarity. Very, very incredible job by Eastwood. And it really does show that, with his age comes a lot of experience, because this is definitely the film of a experienced filmmaker. Points that I wasn't fond of in this movie, and there are a few things, very few. The movie touches on the relationship of Sully and his wife here and there, and their relationship is kind of on the outs, I'd say. Kind of, not really, but Laura Linney plays the wife in this film, Sully's wife, and she plays a good part, but she's kind of always, they never share a scene together, they're on the phone. And their relationship is interesting, but it's not delved into deep enough. And I think if they just gave their story a little bit more resolution, because they never resolve their stories together, which I think is a major problem with this film. And I'm not spoiling anything by saying that. They just never resolve it. I kind of wish they did that, because I think the movie would have left a better taste in my mouth. But again, for what it is, she does a very good job in this role as well. Again, not given much to do, though. The film mainly is about Sully and the water landing, and that is the focus of the film. And it's actually shown a couple times, and I could see why this could be grating to some viewers. To me, I thought it was kind of interesting. It kind of went back to that Rashomon thing, where you show something from different points of view, because the actual event, the actual water landing that happened, that this movie is based on, it was like, I think it was like 208 seconds or something. It was literally just a couple minutes that all this happened in, and it is amazing that they were able to show this through the perspective of different people. It is astounding to watch, and it's kind of actually emotional. I got kind of emotional the second time around seeing it, because you feel like you went through a traumatic experience with these men, and it's outstanding. I think it's very well done. The only other really thing I can complain about in this movie is that it's an hour and a half long, and I was kind of blown away by that. The movie is 96 minutes long, and it's actually the shortest film Clint Eastwood has ever made. I'm fairly certain it's the shortest movie Clint Eastwood has ever made. I've seen basically every movie by Clint Eastwood, but this is the shortest film, I think, of his. And if they just gave it like a few more minutes, I think if they just added, like I said, they just added one more scene with the wife, maybe a scene where he reunites with his family or something. But again, the movie really isn't there to tell you that story. It's to tell you about the events of the water landing and how Sully's life changed after that. All in all, Sully is a wonderful film. And Clint Eastwood really did a great job of giving us a portrait of a man that is a true hero. And I have to say, even though the movie has some very little shortcomings, it's a phenomenal piece of work. I think it's one of Clint Eastwood's best movies he's come out with in a few years now. I loved it. I'm giving Sully a 4.5 out of 5. I think this is about as near perfect as you can get with a movie like this. And I have to say, it really had me riveted. Totally incredible, incredible piece of work you have here. So again, thank you very much for coming back to Kavanaugh's Corner. I'm Andrew Kavanaugh. We'll see you on the next one. Good night.